Hello, and thanks for hanging with us today on this episode of Between Two Batcaves. We are your hosts. I am Austin Luke, and he is Jordan Brownstein. And today we are doing a little bit of a spring cleaning over here on Between Two Batcaves. We have been, I think our last episode was on March 30th.
Oh man,
Dude, I was looking
sounds about right.
through
Yeah.
our episodes today to just kind of get an idea of how many episodes we're at and all that stuff. And I was like, man, we haven't uploaded in like 2 weeks. And we're going to get into that in detail a little bit here as to why. But before we get into the nitty gritty, a little catch up and what we're going to be doing here today on Between Two Bat Caves. If you like what we're doing over here on Between Two Bat Caves, few ways you can let us know. Jordan, I got something fun for you here. Ready?
Oh
For
yeah.
so I'm gonna obviously fill in the blank for the script here, and I think this is gonna surprise you. Ready? I didn't realize
Ready.
this. Whether this is your first or 50th episode with us,
I thought we were at 49.
this is number 50.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah, yeah, that surprised me this morning.
50. Shout out
So
Albert McClellan. Albert
hey,
McClellan.
keeping up with the references there, and also freaking cool, dude. We're at 50 episodes.
Hey, congrats, man.
It's been a struggle to get to 50 these last couple of months, but hey, we
We're
are
here.
here.
We're
We're
here.
at 50. If you are here with us at our 50th episode, thank you guys so much for being here and listening and watching Jordan and I week in and week out, except for the last couple of weeks. But we're fixing that. We're getting back on top of our stuff here at Between Two Bat Caves. But if you like everything we've been doing, please like, rate, follow the pod, leave a 5-star review, comment on the episode, comment on our Spotify page, all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, all of the socials. We're on there at Between Two Bat Caves with the number two, except for Twitter. That's a B2 Bat Caves with the number two.
Yeah.
Um,
If you miss us, let us know. If you think we
please,
should go
yes.
back into the ether, let us know.
Either way.
Share your thoughts.
Lastly, if you are watching us on either Spotify or YouTube, just click all the buttons that you need to click over there. You know, you got like, you got subscribe, you got ring the bell, notifications, just anything you need to do to make sure that you know when Between Two Bat Caves is uploading new content so that y'all can stay up to date with the latest from Jordan and I. That is everything I have got over here. Jordan, why don't you tell everybody what to expect from us today before we get into where we've been?
Today, we are going to be starting today with an apology. We're going to be starting today with an apology and explanation. Really, Austin, you said it. It's spring cleaning. We're tidying up in here. We're going to catch up on what we've been needing to catch up on the past few weeks. Get back to a place where we feel like we can attack the rest of this spring and this summer season of content with vim and with vigor and with excitement, because we picked a bad time to kind of fall off, because there has been some really good stuff going on out there in the world right now. TV wise specifically, we are going to be catching up on some of the stuff that we've been watching in this little Batcave hiatus. We're talking Daredevil. We're talking The Boys. We're talking Invincible. And we're going to talk a little bit of Maul Shadow Lord. Stuff that, to varying degrees, both Austin and I have been following the past few weeks and really enjoying. So we're going to catch up on those, where we're kind of each at in our watch throughs of those projects. And maybe over the course of today's episode, it might be a little bit of an exercise in figuring out, what it is that we're going to kind of hone in on over the next few weeks here, as far as coverage goes. And obviously that comes with the input of you guys at home too, because we're kind of in like this content deluge right now with all those shows coming out at the same time. So I'm curious to know at home, like, what are you guys kind of prioritizing watching right now? Is there anything that you're falling behind on, or, want to catch up on? Curious about that. But that's a peek as to what's to come too, because we're still in the middle of this beautiful kind of era that we're in of 3 or 4 shows at the same time, kind of putting out like really high quality stuff. So we're gonna figure
It's
out a
a
way.
good problem to have as a
It
nerd. It's a
is.
good
It is.
problem.
It's
It's
interesting because we go through droughts and then it just it pours, and we're in one of those phases right now. Um, we also got some news to catch up on. I don't mean to bear
we
no
do.
need there, but there have been some very big developments in the nerd worlds that we cover really in the past few days. CinemaCon happened this past week. Some really big news items there that dropped at CinemaCon that we're going to get into today. And yeah, but even before that, I think we're here for a little bit of a life update as well.
Yeah.
A little Batcave life update. So
Yeah. Let's do a little catch up as to why we
let's
haven't been as regular as we have wanted to.
let's shed some light on a situation. I was going to say for anybody who is following through the visual mediums, whether that's Spotify video or YouTube, you might have caught me conspicuously stroking my chin or waving at the camera so as to show off a certain new piece of bling that I'm sporting now, because officially as of 8 days ago, I'm a married man. Maddie and I got married last weekend. And yeah, for anybody who wants to know why we've been a little bit MIA, you can put it on that because Maddie and I just went through the most beautiful, but also exhausting experience, I think, of our lives in not just like the wedding last weekend, but Austin, you know this, we, and when I say we, Maddie, with my help where it was warranted, put this wedding on in about
42 days.
6 weeks, in 42 days. We, within the span of 42 days, we decided, let's get married. And 42 days later, we were married, had the most beautiful, beautiful wedding day that I could have ever possibly imagined. With Austin, you and your wife and your beautiful daughter were there. Got a flower girl out of it, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Um, we put this wedding on like at in our basically at our house and our neighbor's house on the water in South River in Edgewater, and yeah, it was the best day of my life, and I it feels so cool to be a married man now. Like it's nice to just have this on my finger and look down every time and just be like, oh yeah, that happened. That happened.
Isn't
That's
it
really
nice to
cool.
just like be like the build up to the day is so like you get like so amped up like you're and you guys fast tracked it. I think Em and I planned our wedding over the course of like like somewhere in the range of like 6 7 months, something like that.
So normal.
Maybe even actually no longer. It was like 9. It was like 9 months. um
So like an
and I mean,
average wedding lead time.
and it's a busy nine
Yeah.
months like, and so you guys fast tracked that and managed to pull off by all means something that seems like it was put together over the course of 9 months. Like it was crazy. And this is a test to Maddie because
I was gonna say,
her
yeah.
her planning abilities are just absolutely incredible because she put together, and you put together a
I'm not the idea guy here.
wonderful, yeah,
I'm the camera that you just point and shoot. You
a
need a task
wonderful wedding.
accomplished and tell me what it is.
Yeah, so you guys have obviously been super busy with all that, but now you have that done, and now it's like that post wedding day state where it's almost like now at the end of each night you just kind of look at each other and you're like, I feel like we should be doing something because
Every
that's
night.
like what you're used to doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh wait, we don't have to do anything right now. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
I remember that.
it's also kind of funny because obviously 42 days, like all of our time, energy, and everything has gone to putting the wedding itself on. So we didn't even think about a honeymoon, which is to come at some point soon. But all that to say, like the past week, our honeymoon has basically been on like catching up on all of like the TV and
Uh,
all the stuff that we have kind of fallen behind on in the past few weeks. So it's been a good week.
yeah, no, and I mean, I'll say not quite as big of a time commitment on my part for y'all's wedding, but I still had to train a flower girl.
You,
I mean,
it's
listen,
nothing. It's nothing to turn your nose
we were
at the work that
practicing
you
some of
put into
these.
making that
We
day
were
go on.
practicing some of these.
We're talking
Lucy
flower
showed up.
girls. We're talking audio equipment pickups in in the boonies of Lothian, Maryland.
Hey, and we threw together a bachelor party for the night before the wedding. That was a lot of fun. We
So
went out to an
there'll be
O's
footage of
game.
that night that is not released on our official handles.
No. That's a Patreon post, if that. But we had a great bachelor party the night before with some of our buddies. Shout out Arjun, I know you're listening. Remy, Josh, who made our logo. Shout out
Yep.
Josh.
We're gonna get him
Had
on
a
soon too.
Oh yes, we are. We're definitely gonna get him on. So had a great night, great wedding day. But obviously a lot of work that goes into that. So Jordan has been tied up. He is now slightly more freed up, which is good for you because
Yeah,
I'm
what do
not
you
quite
got
there
going on?
yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting
Yep,
there.
every
We've
day.
said it a bunch on this podcast before, but I'm currently in training, in the final stages of training to become a firefighter. And for those out there who may be listening that are either in training to become a first responder or are currently first responders, man, oh man, it's a lot of work. Uh, Day in and day out, it is incredibly long and exhausting days. I'm up at 3:45 and I'm home at like 5 o'clock. I pick up the kiddo from the grandparents around like 4:45. I'm home at 5. Then we gotta go dinner, bath, play, bed. And by the time I get her to bed, I usually fall asleep in the recliner in her bedroom. And then my wife will wake me up and be like, "Come on, let's go to bed." So my days, I have no free time during my days right now.
Yeah,
But I am almost done. I will be done in the early June, and I will have lots more free time once I get on my shift schedule. So looking forward to that. That being said, uh, I have not caught up on all of the shows that we're going to be talking about today. I'm a little bit behind. I am up to date on Daredevil, and while I'm not up to date on Invincible, I'm comfortable talking about Invincible because we've both read the comics.
yeah.
So I never really feel like I'm going to get a spoiler in that show because I pretty much know what to expect. Um, as for The Boys and Maul Shadow Lord, I have not started either. We can talk about The Boys a little bit more just because I am aware of some spoilers for that show. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at today. Just in summary, we're busy people. It's been a busy month and a half, and we are at least one half of us is get through that busy part. So we're looking to be a little bit more regular here. I think we're switching up our recording schedules to record on Thursdays, and gonna have episodes coming out every Monday from now on. So we will be back to our weekly schedule. Hopefully, I'm thinking that that's a very obtainable goal now.
I think so. And yeah, just for any listeners, viewers out there who are still with us, we appreciate you guys, and we're excited to kind of be back here and talking with you guys on a regular basis again.
I think that wraps up the life updates as to where we've been. I
I think
think
so.
we should probably get into the Oracle report. We got
Let's
some news
do. We
item.
got a good one today. We got a good Oracle report to get into. Let's do it.
Like you said, you got a couple from CinemaCon that you want to go over. I got one. Where do you want to start?
So I think there's one big piece that we should save for the end of the Oracle report, and that's the trailer that was released at CinemaCon that has not been released to the public, but there is a detailed description that I'll read, I think, at the end of the Oracle report. Um,
I start then with
okay, you kick us off. Kick us off. Yeah,
yeah. So I just want to talk. I don't want to give this like too much time, but I just wanted to like see your general awareness level of so all last week, all over, every social media outlet, there was a leak. The Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Aang animated movie that is coming out, well, was supposed to be coming out in October on Paramount Plus, got leaked. The entire movie got leaked online, which is absolutely crazy. There's been a huge backlash from this, from the creators of the movie, the creatives working on the movie. Paramount issued like a stupid apology statement, something like that, and basically I don't want to talk too much about this because I've been seeing a lot of sentiment from some people involved in this project and involved in the original series, basically saying like, don't give this airwaves. Like the best
Yeah.
way to like shut this down is to not give it attention. So I just wanted to ask you, like, you're aware of this, that this happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm aware that it leaked, and I like actively avoided seeing any of the leaks, but it's interesting. I feel conflicted about it because, like you said, this was slated to come out on Paramount Plus, I think in October. Initially, this was supposed to be a theatrical release. This movie was
Yeah.
supposed to come out in theaters, and Paramount, Skydance, David Ellison changed their mind, and said, no, actually, this is just going to be a Paramount Plus exclusive, whether that's because it's animated, or something else, like whatever their reasoning for it. They thought it didn't warrant a theatrical release.
Yeah.
I was actually reading about the leak, and I think I can't verify this, but I'm pretty sure somebody got in touch with the person who leaked it, and one thing they said was basically like, yeah, this was like, it was just going to be coming out on Paramount Plus, so I didn't even think it was that big a deal. Um, it's a tough spot because, like you said, watching the leaked version, supporting the leaked version, or amplifying it, I think is seen as detrimental to the creators. You know, the voice actors, the animators, the artists, the directors who actually created the thing. But then if you watch it, or sorry, if you watch it or if you support it, it feels like you're just supporting the Paramount Skydance regime, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the execs. Like if you support this project, that's money going into their product, into their
Yep.
pockets. So it just kind of feels like a rock and a hard place with this kind of thing, where I feel bad for the creators, like the people who are actually involved in creating this movie, because this obviously hurts them.
Yep.
Um, but also on a certain, like, to a certain extent, it's like this is what the Ellisons and the C-suite execs get for like devaluing this movie, like for pushing it over into the corner and saying this is just going to be streaming exclusive. Like that's, we've seen like seen this with Disney. Like when you take theatrical stuff and put it on the streaming screen, it just for whatever reason like inherently devalues it in the mind of the consumer. And that's going to lead to stuff like this happening. And it's unfortunate. And I don't know what I'm going to do about this. Like, I don't know what Paramount's going to do about this. Are they going to just stick to the original release schedule and just drop it on Paramount Plus in October? Like,
October. Yeah.
I gotta imagine anybody who actually like wants to watch this movie, maybe not anybody, but a lot of people who want to watch this movie are going to find it, the leaked version, the pirated version now. And if you wait until October to drop this on streaming legitimately, like I can't imagine it's going to be that successful. Um, but yeah, it's a tough spot for Paramount to be in. I feel bad for the people who made this movie because it is something that like in a vacuum I'm looking forward to. Like I love Avatar, and to like finally get a continuation, well, it should have been a big screen continuation of Aang's story would have been so cool, and even I would have watched it on streaming. But I don't know. It feels like this is in a weird spot now. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's one of those. So I have not watched the leaked version. I don't intend to watch the leaked version. I have seen edits, like I've seen clips of
Mhm.
scenes of it edited together. That's pretty much unavoidable.
Yeah.
And
Dude, how does
so
this happen? How does the
like
entire
I don't
movie get leaked?
know. I
I think
don't
I was
know.
reading about it. Apparently, somebody maybe at Paramount, somebody corporate
It's gotta
messed
be.
up big time and sent this out to somebody like as like a, it should have been like a promo or something like that. But basically, this was an accident from the higher ups over at Paramount. Is kind of my understanding of it.
Dude, I just don't understand how like something like a mistake like that happens. It's just like you got to be kind of bad at your job to send a mass email
I was gonna
with
say
the file of the entire, like, I mean, how does that even happen? I don't know, but
it's just I think
that
it's a good reminder that like a lot of people in general are just dumb and bad at their jobs.
that's true. That's true. um especially a lot of people in positions of power that really didn't do the work to get there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I haven't seen the leak version. I've seen some edits, and listen, it's one of those things. Like I don't want to feed the fire because it's like you said. Like on one hand, it's like if you're supporting the leak, then you're not really giving you're not going to give the movie the success that it deserves when it hits streaming, or if they decide to do a theatrical release, which it should have just stuck with in the first place. But I will say, I mean, the edits that I've seen, movie looks good. I mean, like the
Which is a
scenes that I've
shame,
seen,
right?
it's
Like
it's
that's
hard it's hard to look at that and be like, oh man, like it's hard to watch those edits and be like, oh, this it looks freaking cool. What can I say? And
it
it,
would
it
be
seems like
easier
it's
if the
gonna be.
movie stunk, right? Like it would be easier to
Yeah,
just ignore it if it stunk.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know what they'll end up doing. Like, are they? I At this point, it's just like if it's ready, put it out maybe, because I don't think
Yeah.
Paramount's going to end up doing a theatrical release unless the backlash online is so great that they feel like
I
they're in a position where they
yeah.
have to. But I don't really think that Paramount's one to do that.
No.
um
Yeah, I don't think they're too beholden to like public sentiment.
yeah, no. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about this. Like I said, I just wanted to like see your general awareness of the
Yeah.
subject. I yeah I
Unfortunate.
I'm with
That's
I'm
my
with you.
word for it.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I'm not going to support the leak. And whenever it comes out, wherever it comes out, I will, watch it there, which is going to ultimately support Paramount Skydance. But also,
What can you
I want to
do?
give,
Yeah.
I want to see this movie because I freaking love Avatar,
Yeah.
and I do want to give the people that worked on this movie, my view, because that ultimately will help them in their success. Uh, so yeah, I do fear for what this could mean for the future of the Avatar franchise. But I don't want to speculate anything like that.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
want to
that's
get
where I
into some
stand
more
with
fun
the
stuff?
Avatar. I do want to get
Some more
into some more
fun
fun
news?
stuff.
All right. Now, most of this stuff is coming out of CinemaCon, which was last week. But first, before we get into that, some casting news that I think this was either Hollywood Reporter or Deadline dropped this. Uh, as we are wont to do here, we're going to talk about the Batman Part 2. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Oh, dude, you're going to like this.
Well,
So,
maybe I have. I don't know. Tell me.
I don't
Tell
know
me.
if you've, like, it seems like for the past couple months or so, they have been trying to cast the role of Christopher Dent, right? Like, they've cast
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Stan as Harvey Dent, and his dad Christopher is going to be playing a significant role in this movie, and they've been trying to get like some big name older actors into this role. It seems like there were a couple offers that went out to like their first, second choice, maybe for whatever reason it didn't work out. They've officially landed on an actor for the role of Christopher Dent. I take one guess. Who do you think it is? I don't think you'll get it, but I'm curious to see like who comes to mind for you as Christopher Dent.
Dude, I mean, listen, the and I know this is wrong, but literally the only person that came to my
Danny
mind
DeVito.
when we're thinking of like no, the only person I could think of in terms of like comic book dads was Kurt Russell.
I mean, not a bad guess.
Yeah.
It's not Kurt Russell. It
I know.
is Charles Dance, who played Tywin
Ooh.
Lannister in Game of Thrones. He has officially been cast as Christopher
Ooh.
Dent here for a significant role in this movie, and I think this is great casting. I think this is
Yeah.
great casting. That
Yeah,
guy,
man.
Christopher
He
Dance, just carries like such like a gravitas to him, and just like an unspoken kind of like sense of authority.
and
And
just like cold. He's cold,
yes,
man.
yes. And having him there in scenes with Sebastian Stan as his son, and then presumably Robert Pattinson is there involved somewhere. And I actually, I think this could be really good. This was a
Dude,
role I was a little bit worried about, like reading how, and I can't remember exactly who like were their first choices, but I know there were a couple offers that went out for this role that were declined. So to be able to do that and then land on somebody as powerful, and I think Charles Dance is also, I think he has like a strong theater background too, so kind
mhm.
of like that like the physical performance that comes along with it, and just like
Yeah.
the way he carries himself as Tywin Lannister. He's one of those characters in that show who you can't. It's like the begrudging respect that you have for him and the fear.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
a good way to put it.
this is a great addition to the Batman Part Two.
It's like you look at him and it's like, man, you are such a bad person. You are such a terrible dad. But like you said, it's like that. But you can't help but just respect his character and like the power and authority that he brings, and just like his influence in Westeros. So yeah, and he's that like cold fatherly figure that I think if he bring, I think he'll probably bring some of that to this role. Um, and watching, I think, him on screen with Sebastian Stan, I think is going to be pretty electric in terms of like a father son relationship. I think that
Yeah,
that could be super compelling. I'm starting to get to the point with this movie where obviously it's taken forever. It's just like it's a meme at this point how long it's taken for the Batman 2 to come out. And I'm
5 years.
starting to get to the point where I'm almost like, you know what? Like maybe they're just taking their time because like they're gonna freaking nail this thing, man. Like maybe they truly don't care. They don't care how long it takes to come out because they want when this movie comes out, like it's gonna be perfection. I'm starting to wonder if
I
that's
mean,
what we're looking at here.
Matt Reeves is known to just be like a very meticulous screenwriter. Like he is going to take his time to make sure that he gets it right. He does not rush his projects.
True.
There's always been this discourse about like Matt Reeves versus James Gunn and like is James Gunn trying to push Matt Reeves out? I never really bought into any of that. I do just think this is the way that Matt Reeves works, and I'm sure there's like scheduling stuff that goes into it too. But I'm with you. Like at this point, there's so much other stuff going on. We could just kind of sit back and let Matt Reeves cook, and this movie will come, right? Like we're going to get
Well,
it.
and this year sooner than we think Supergirl's coming out, and there's been obviously Supergirl trailers that have come out in the
Mm.
past weeks, which I don't really feel like we need to cover, but there's been mixed reactions to those trailers, and it seems like maybe across the board kind of a sense of losing a bit of confidence in this movie, in the fandom, just kind
Yeah,
of like super
interesting.
iterative of Guardians of the Galaxy. And if this movie comes out and it doesn't hit the way that audiences want it to hit, then I think it'll kind of give more fire in the community towards Matt Reeves the Batman, just because it's like, okay, well, James Gunn second movie didn't hit the way we wanted it to, like let's go back to something that we know is pretty held up in terms of like upper echelon of comic book films.
Yeah, I think that's right. And we don't have to get into Supergirl because we've talked about it, but there is just like this sense with Supergirl that feels like excitement is middling. Let's just see what happens when it comes out. Like there is kind of that sense of is this just like another another movie in the vein of like the James Gunn style? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. Um,
Yeah.
but let's stay in the DCU for just a second, and we're going to come back to Westeros. But let's stay in the DCU for just a second here, because they did have some. I think they released another Supergirl trailer at Comic Con with some slightly new footage, but or sorry, not Comic Con, CinemaCon. At CinemaCon,
Hmm.
they also released the first trailer for Clayface, and
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I have not looked into this super in depth, but what I have seen is that this is going to be a straight up horror movie, which is how it's been described and how it's been talked
Yeah.
about. But now, so the footage that was shown, what I read, I think it was brief, but what I read is that we basically see, uh, is his name in this movie Basil Carlo? Are they doing Basil Carlo? Whoever the
Oh,
actor is, I think I don't think it is Basil Carlo. I think they're doing
no,
another
I don't think so.
Clayface. But I
Yeah.
think basically they say in this footage you see the actor like either in a bathtub or like waking up in bed, but he looks in a mirror and his face melts off. So that's the vibe this movie is going to be giving. It's going to be straight up body horror. It's going to be unlike anything that we've seen, probably from definitely from the DCU, probably something that we have never seen in like the comic book space, aside from like
Brightburn,
maybe like a what?
like a Brightburn kind
Yeah,
of.
like a Brightburn, or like not even necessarily a Joker, because that wasn't body horror.
Yeah.
But like just really getting into the darkness and getting outside of the established tone of the DCU so far. So I think you're right in saying like if Supergirl doesn't hit, I think like Clayface is the next on the docket as far as the DCU film schedule. But I almost don't even really look at it as part of the same fabric of what like James Gunn is necessarily weaving right now with this main DCU story. So I think you're right in saying that like after Supergirl, like Clayface is there, but I think most people are kind of looking ahead towards Batman Part 2 after that, after Supergirl. And Clayface is
Yeah.
there as like almost an extra for, like it's interesting because I think even for a lot of like the DC super fans, Clayface might not necessarily be something they go out for unless they are also like into the horror scene, because there is going to be a barrier to entry with this movie, right? Like I don't know if it's going to be rated R or not, but this is gonna scare a lot of people out of the theater, like before they even get in, I think.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, it's a bold move, and if it stays true to, everything that they've been talking about since its conception, and this trailer seems to support that, you automatically are starting off with a lower bar of
Yeah,
where you find success in putting out a horror movie. It's just the nature of it. People, you have you cut out a lot of your audience, because younger people tend to not, you don't take a kid to a horror movie. You could
presumably
take a
much
kid.
cheaper to make though.
Yes, but yeah, exactly. And just also like just some people don't vibe with horror. For example, I
Yeah,
mean, you and I will go see this, but like you and I aren't big horror people,
yeah.
like we're not going out to see every Conjuring and Annabelle and whatever
I'm actively avoiding
horror
them.
franchise. Yes, exactly. So this is interesting because you're gonna get an interesting cross section of, so you have your DC fans and you have your horror fans. You know, where is that cross section where these two are going to find each other? Are the DC fans that are not horror fans not going to go see this movie? And are you maybe going to get more horror fans joining into that DC crowd to kind of bridge that gap? Who's to say? But I do think that this movie will be successful, and it could spark some interesting conversation about the
Yeah.
DCU in terms of just like taking it a little bit more seriously and applying those different tones that are s- much different than what James Gunn is known for.
As I'm sitting here and we're talking about it, you know what I just thought of? That I was saying that the page turns to Batman Part 2, but you know what we're forgetting is Man of
Man
Tomorrow.
of Tomorrow, which
Yeah.
comes out next summer.
Yeah. And I didn't even have this on my list for the Oracle report, but there's a huge piece of news that I just remembered that dropped for this movie last week. Did you hear about this? A casting news?
Probably not.
One of our favorites, one of our favorite people is going to be in this movie in potentially a massive role. Adria Arjona has been cast in the DCU.
Oh,
She's been
as
cast
Wonder
in Man of
Woman.
Tomorrow. Well, we don't know.
Okay.
The word is that she's been cast as Maxima, like an obscure Wonder Woman coded character for like a warrior queen from another planet. I I choose to believe, and I so strongly hope that that is just a cover for her casting as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I, it it
Maxima
has
gives
to be.
off major Themyscira vibes.
It has to be Wonder Woman.
Yeah, no, if they cast her in this movie and did not cast her as Wonder Woman, they might have a problem on their hands. The fan community is going to be upset.
So let's operate on the assumption that she is going to be playing Wonder Woman. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but I just think that this is the best piece of DCU news that we've gotten since the announcement of Man of Tomorrow, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, no. We've talked about her on this podcast before. But I mean, just a exceptional actress.
Bix from Andor. She had a big role in that Netflix movie Hitman with Glenn Powell. Um, I think she was also in Morbius. We don't have to talk about that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But
Um,
huge. I think that she like her star potential is massive.
oh yeah, and obviously, I think she's been pretty much the number one like fan cast for
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. Uh, so hopefully that comes true. Um, Regardless, happy to have her in the DCU because her history and what we know her from has been great, and so she's going to be a great addition to any project. Now, I just hope that they made the right choice in where they cast her.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you. Okay, let's hop over to Westeros before we spend some time in the MCU. Quick to hit here. This is something that we've talked about, I think, in the past. The potential for an Aegon's conquest project. Um, I think we did talk about this, how there were kind of like competing pitches where one would be a series, a mini series, and the other would be a movie. They've
Hmm.
officially landed on doing Aegon's Conquest as a movie, which I think
Right.
is absolutely the right choice.
Me too.
Because I think this is a story, and I think we talked about it, where there like I haven't read the source material, so I don't know for sure, but it doesn't seem like this is a story with a bunch of meat on the bone. Right? Like for the most
I
part,
agree.
for the most part, it's Aegon and his sisters coming to Westeros with their dragons and conquering.
And
Like
conquering.
I almost everybody surrendered. I think there might have
Yeah.
been like they burned Harrenhal to the ground. I'm sure like there was some, I think, internal conflict between the Targaryens, which I'm sure it'll get into. But this does just seem like a story that like is meant to be consumed over the span of like 2-ish hours on the big screen.
I agree. Yeah. Obviously, get anything Game of Thrones that we've seen so far. In Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and now A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, we've gotten in extended TV show formats, and a major draw to those projects is like the political intrigue and the character development within those shows. For example, the most recent example, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which we covered on the pod, a show that you and I both loved. Uh, Really, not much happened in that series, but we loved it because of the characters involved and just that gritty Westeros feel, the interplay between characters, watching the houses interact with each other, that type of thing. This story, at least from what we know from it from other series, is exactly as you said. It's doesn't seem like it's quite as involved as those other series. It's Aegon and his sisters, as you said. The Targaryens decide to conquer Westeros, and ultimately, like, there's not much like interplay, I think, between houses and stuff because this is really the first example of uh, the Targaryens coming to Westeros. And so it definitely seems more suited for that big action packed, big budget project that you sit down for. It's probably like 2.5 hours, I would assume, is where we'll find this movie within. Let's give it the big budget so that we have the dragons.
I was gonna say,
I,
it just feels like this is the execs over there being like, we have to figure out a way to get these dragons on the big screen.
which I hope that this comes into fruition and is done well because if we can get a good Game of Thrones movie. Obviously Game of Thrones is a blanket term now. If we can get a
Yeah.
good Game of Thrones movie, this could open up the world of possibilities for stories that can be told in this universe. So I'm excited for the potential of this.
Yep. I'm here for it. All right, dude. Have you heard or read any descriptions about the Doomsday trailer that played at CinemaCon?
In and out.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. For anybody who doesn't know, at CinemaCon, Disney and Marvel had a massive presentation to the theater execs. Foggy was there, the Russo brothers were there, Downey was there, Chris Evans was there, and they played the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday. Not any of these little brief character snippets that we got a couple months back, but an actual trailer. Um, I'm going to read a description of the trailer that was posted online from somebody who was there. But before I do that, I do just want to say Marvel might be back. Based off the reception to this trailer from the people that were in the room there, from accounts of people who were in the room there, I'm so excited for this. The room apparently went crazy, and this is like there were people like influencers, industry reporters who were there like to
Yeah.
promote this stuff. So like you got to take it with a grain of salt. But it's also like theater execs, and apparently the room exploded at this trailer, and to the extent that they played it a second time, like the crowd demanded an encore of this trailer. Um, Avengers might be back. Without further ado, let me just get into this description for you. And if at any point you want me to stop, just say something and we can talk about it.
I don't know. Go through the whole thing.
And so this, let's see, who was this posted by? It might have been Brandon Davis, or it might actually be just kind of like a compilation of everybody who's kind of posted about it. But this is from actually Greg in the Friends from Work Discord posted this. Um, The trailer opens with a shot of X Mansion gate sign from the third teaser that reads Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. In Victor Von Doom's voice, you hear, "Something's coming, something we may not be able to deter. Before this day is done, we shall be faced with an unthinkable decision." And RDJ's Doom is apparently doing like an Eastern European accent here. Xavier looks out from the window as seen in the third teaser. A red globe appears in the sky, and a fire lights up across the atmosphere, making Charles shield his eyes. Dr. Doom kneeling and raising his hooded head. He seems to be rising in the gardens outside the X mansion as a dim sun peeks through the red haze of the sky behind him. All the shots in the trailer, the sky is red, similar to what incursions look like in Hickman's Secret Wars. Marvel Studios logo plays, shifting the red background to black. The exterior of the Avengers Tower is seen with the new Avengers logo. Circular door opens, and we see the Fantastic Four. Reed wearing a white jacket with the other members, and Thor behind him. Thor and the Fantastic Four walk into the Avengers Tower penthouse. Sam Wilson, Bucky, and Scott Lang are seen. We see a wide shot of the room with red sunlight is coming from the window, showing the full assembly. On the left are the Thunderbolts with John Walker, Red Guardian, Bucky, Yelena, and Ava Starr. On the right, Sam Wilson, Scott Lang, Thor, and Joaquin Torres, so Sam's Avengers. In the middle of the background, the Fantastic Four are standing with the screen behind them showing some kind of display with three circles connected by lines. It's believed it was taken from Reed Richards' multiverse explanation and definition of incursions from Hickman's New Avengers. Thor gives an angry speech throughout all of the trailer. Thor says, "I fought with many warriors in my time. They were far stronger than all of us put together, and they died. They died facing enemies and threats that scare me far less than this one. Everything they sacrificed will be for nothing if we do not stand together. Put aside your petty squabbles. Presume nothing except this. If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters. But mark my words, we're going to need a miracle." We see shots of the Wakandans set in the same location as the fourth teaser where Namor is on his throne. Shuri is looking at him and over M'Baku. She armors up with her Black Panther suit as the Wakandans surround Namor in his throne in a threatening stance. Red skies in the background too. Thor lands over the gardens outside the X Mansion, and Stormbreaker ignites with lightning as he approaches Doctor Doom. Before he gets there, an explosion rips through the stairs of the X Mansion, and we see a new shot of James Marsden's Cyclops with his comic accurate suit as he lights up his eyepiece, but not fully blasting as he checks out what it was. We get a shot of Channing Tatum Gambit with his staff glowing purple as he duels Shang-Chi with his rings glowing orange. Shang-Chi repels the staff with his rings. Two rings fly to push Gambit off and then floats back into his arms as Gambit holds out a glowing ace of hearts, shaking his head. Shuri walking from the fourth teaser, except the background is surrounded by a wall of water, like Moses parting the Red Sea, forming a huge ring and drying out Talokan. M'Baku shaking hands with Ben, but Ben is backed by Bucky, Sue, and Joaquin. Yelena draws her gun on the X-Mansion. Reed stretches out his arm and jacket to restrain Sam. Someone else is behind Reed here. Yelena approaches Mystique wearing a white jacket and short-cut bright red hair, looking very comic accurate. She catches Yelena's thrown baton. As she holds it, she shapeshifts into Yelena Belova, two Yelenas choking each other. A shot of Charles and Magneto in the mansion from the third teaser as they embrace their fate, and a shot of Scott Lang kissing Cassie Lang's forehead. A close-up of Johnny Storm as he hugs Sue. A shot of Sue Storm nodding in the ocean area of the fourth teaser, and Shuri saluting. This is the last one. Sam Wilson landing inside the X Mansion as he looks up at Gambit, flipping down from a higher level where the mansion has a stained glass roof and slams his staff on the ground, causing a shockwave. Cyclops blasting from the third teaser. Sue close up with a force field. Namor flying fast around the wall of water. Thor recreating his big leap and swing at Thanos from Infinity War, except on the gardens of the X Mansion. Doctor Doom calmly presses his two fingers, his index and middle finger, and stops Stormbreaker with a quiet clink. We see RDJ's angry green eyes as Thor screams in frustration, not being able to push further. At the end of Thor's speech, we need a miracle. He holds Mjolnir. He hears a familiar voice. Steve Rogers. Hey, pal. Thor, it's not possible. The hammer flies out of his hand toward Steve Rogers, revealing his presence. And cut. That was a lot. I know that was a lot, but I felt it important to read
Guys,
through all that
we're
because
getting Avengers versus X-Men.
holy cow, that was a lot. Can you imagine being in that room, seeing that?
Oh, dude. I mean, it's like just like the description. Reading the description gives you chills. I mean, I, I might have passed out if I saw this firsthand. I mean,
All right, so we could like spend a whole episode breaking down the
oh yeah,
description of
oh
this
yeah.
trailer. We can't do that today. So let me just ask you, of that description, which one or two moments or encounters gave you the most chills?
So, I mean, it's funny because honestly, one of them is the last scene of uh, Steve
Thor and
Rogers
Steve.
returns,
Yeah,
and he gets Mjolnir, which we saw in Endgame, obviously, but like it's dude, like it
total
just brings
fan.
you back to that
Like,
moment of like the first time it happened, and you're just like, oh, like you're gonna get that again, dude. Like
yeah,
that's exciting. And then
with like just
honestly,
like that
like
Russo brothers touch of like the understatedness of it, right?
yes, yes,
Like
yes,
I
yes.
imagine Steve just being like, just like barely holding his hand out, and just like,
It's
hey,
like, hey pal. I like the idea that he's saying hey pal and he's talking to Mjolnir, not talking to Thor.
that's good.
um, and honestly, for me, like the second one is like the description of Gambit fighting Shang-Chi. Like
Dude,
just like
that
that sounds
sounds
awesome.
so cool. Like that's just like it's tough because like that is exactly the kind of thing that the film bros, the snobs will talk about being like, oh, they're just putting two action figures together and knocking them against each other,
And
and there's
what's
no
wrong with
story
that?
there. It's cool,
What's wrong
and
with that?
I still think there's going to be enough meat on the bone with the story there. Like I
Dude,
do.
so here's the thing, like, but first of all, I like how we've just like officially gotten to the point where we've basically retconned Channing Tatum as Gambit. Like it's now it's just like, oh yeah, no, he's that happened.
Yeah,
It's I love that. But it's like you said. So the room was full of a lot of different people. You obviously had a lot of like social media influencers and reporters that were there to report on the story and fans of the content that have a reason to support this
the
project.
Soaps of the
um,
world, the Brandon Davises of the world.
exactly, which you got to take what they say with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that what they say is a lie, but they do have
Understand
a
they are there with a purpose, right?
yes, and they are essentially super fans,
Yeah.
as are we. But the way that they report on these things does have a effect on their uh careers. So like you said, we also have in this room a lot of like theater execs and stuff like that. Now, you could see that going one of two ways. Maybe the theater execs are excited because, like you said, you see two action figures smashing together, and they're like,
But
"Oh,
like this is gonna
that's
make
going
us
to
a
make a
lot of
lot of
money.
money.
Yeah.
That's going to make," and there's certainly an aspect of that in here. However, there's also the side of it of just like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be a movie that like gets people back out. Like this is going to be like the reignition of like, listen, the MCU's been in you and I have said this. MCU's in a good place right now. It's not where it was during the Infinity Saga, probably never will be again. However, this is a project that could really get things rolling again. I mean, I'm I'm liking what we're working with here.
And something that like the Russo brothers and Feige did like an interview, I think, with Fandango at CinemaCon, and this is something that I kind of picked up on from the description of the trailer as well, in that like how Doomsday seems like the approach they're taking is to kind of making it a pseudo sequel to Infinity War and Endgame,
Yes.
where and you can feel any type of way you want about this, but it seems like they're kind of centering this movie obviously around Doom, but also like Steve Rogers and Thor, like our
Yep.
original Avengers. Like they
Yeah.
seem to be the characters that are going to be doing a lot of the carrying of the central plot. And it seems like a lot of the central themes of the movie are going to be bouncing off of these characters.
Yeah.
And then we just have 50, 60 Marvel heroes that we've grown up watching on the screen for the past 20, 30 years fighting each other in the periphery, right? Like we're going to get the questions about like choices and consequences from the Steve and the Thor and the Doom with Shang-Chi and Gambit throwing projectiles at each other at the same time. The Russo brothers have proved this with Infinity War and Endgame that they know how to like handle these massive casts while also still delivering like some kind of coherent story.
Hmm.
I'm fully bought in. I'm almost at the point where like I don't want to see this trailer. I don't want to see any of the promotional material from this movie because
Oh, I'm
I want to
watching
be
this
able to just
trailer.
go into it and like see it fresh. And I think like this movie will make $2 billion.
I have a statement and a question. Statement is one. So you know, actually two statements of question. Statement one is just like I really like how X-Men heavy this is going to be.
Yeah.
Seemingly, when that series of those like little teaser trailers came out, and you got the X-Men one, and it was kind of speculated, oh, is this going to be a big part of the story? Is this just going to be like a small thing in the background? Obviously, this is a major plot point. Avengers
It
versus
seems like the
X-Men type of thing.
incursion on their world is going to be, I would imagine that it could be like the first act of the movie, first or set, like
Yeah,
an entire act of the movie.
I agree. Yeah, no, and so I like how heavy they're leading into that, because awesome, love the X-Men, and then two, really just kind of like leaning into like setting the plate for future um sagas, moving into the mutant saga after the multiverse saga. Like, hey, this is what we can do with the X-Men. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Second statement is just you and I from the get go, after when we got the Alan Silvestri, the Russo brothers, and the RDJ announcements on this movie. You and I have always been in the camp of when you put that group of people together with Kevin Feige at the helm, you don't get a bad project.
There's a
You just
baseline. Yeah.
don't. And so you and I from the get go were just like, this is at least bound to be good, if not great. And I think that the more closer we get, the more that is supported. Question for you: when do we get this trailer?
In front of Mando and Grogu at Memorial
Yep.
Day.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking too. Which is sooner than we think. I mean, that's coming up pretty.
Like a
We
month.
you actually
Yeah.
you and I are gonna be looking at tickets for that movie pretty soon.
There was a
So
new trailer that dropped for Mando and Grogu at CinemaCon, which we're not going to get
yeah,
into in depth, but it looks good. Looks good.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm with you. I think this is dropping before Mando and Grogu, which is most
Yeah.
certainly going to help Mando and Grogu ticket sales.
Yeah.
Which we're probably already in a good place, but
I think so. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll talk about Mando and Grogu as we get closer to it.
yeah.
Um, Anything else on the Doomsday footage here? I'm pulling it up. For me, like the Thor narration and like the description of the Thor Doom encounter, that gets me going a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think centering it, as you said, around like these OG characters, like kind of using Thor as a focal point, I think is genius. I mean, it's a character that we all know and love. As you said,
Yeah.
we've been with Chris Hemsworth as Thor since
15 years.
2000, what, 10,
2011. I think
11?
2000, I think I think 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, 15 years that we've been with this character. Using him as a focal point, I think is just a genius move. I think it's going to get emotional. I think it's going to be action packed. As you said, we're going to get the characters that we know and love doing the cool things that we want while also getting these deep story points of, the character development between Thor and Cap is back. And, what does it mean that Doom is played by RDJ? Like, that's going to obviously mean something. And, man, I'm so excited.
Yep. And before we move off it, they confirmed this movie's sticking on December 18th. So Doomsday is officially on. They won't have IMAX screens, but they have coined this new Infinity Vision
Yeah.
certification. That's basically them just saying, we're going to slap this on to like the Dolby Atmos, whatever, like the screen, like all the other premium formats. This is their way of basically saying, sorry, you can't see this in IMAX.
Yeah.
Um, so that'll be cool.
Hey, you
Um,
know what? You and I will be seeing it in Infinity Vision.
yep,
So
damn straight. Um, all right. I think we're ready to move out of the Oracle report and check in on some of these projects that have been coming out weekly. What do you think?
yeah. Let's do it. Let's just do a quick check in on the four major things that we got going on right now.
Okay, do you want to start with the projects that you have watched or the ones that you have not watched?
Let's start with the ones that I have. Let's start with Daredevil.
Okay, all right. Got the most
Keep
to
it on the
say about
MCU.
Daredevil. So, and you are caught up. You have seen through episode 5.
Yep, finished it last night.
Okay. So, spoiler alert for Daredevil Born Again season 2 here. We're going to talk about everything that's happened through episode 5, the most recent episode. And just like a brief catch up. So basically where we're at now, um, Bullseye has killed Vanessa. Um, whether or not Fisk is, well, Fisk definitely bears some responsibility for her death, but I think like active responsibility in that like the projectile that killed Vanessa was initially blocked by Fisk and like it shattered a piece of glass that lodged into her brain and ultimately killed her. But before she dies, we get like this basically like season 1 flashback episode where Vanessa is on her deathbed, basically. Like she undergoes brain surgery, long shot brain surgery to try to save her. She does come back into consciousness for a brief period of time before then ultimately dying. At the same time, we have Matt, who had just the previous episode saved Bullseye after Bullseye killed Vanessa, and they are kind of on the run trying to get Bullseye some medical attention. And at the same time, Matt is grappling with his guilt over Foggy and having tried to kill Dex and now realizing that this opportunity to save Dex is like his chance at absolution. And this moment is they're kind of going through purgatory, right? Is that how he describes it?
Yeah.
Both him and Dex. Um, and so where we leave off at the end of episode 5, Matt has taken Dex back to Karen to get patched up in Frank's old lair. Vanessa has died. Fisk is about to go off the absolute deep end. Um, and those are like the two main points of the plot. At the same time, we also have a lot of really interesting stuff going on with some of the side characters like Daniel Blake and Buck Cashman. Um, who I would like to spend just a couple minutes talking about in this segment here because they're doing some
Yeah, no, me
really,
too.
really
Me too.
interesting stuff. Um, but yeah, that's basically where we're at the end of episode 5. Fisk is about to go off the deep end, and Daredevil and Bullseye are kind of teaming up now. So, with that being said, as we sit here a couple days before going into episode 6, 3 more episodes in the season, where do you stand on the season of TV so far?
I'm loving it. I'm loving
Yeah.
pretty much every second of it right now. I was finding myself prior to episode 5 and the end of episode 4 kind of in like a gray area with the Vanessa character. I wasn't really vibing too much with the Vanessa character this season. Ultimately, I mean, they fridged her, but
But
I mean,
yeah,
her.
it's different than that because like she, I think, has been a fully formed character over
Mhm,
the
mhm.
series too. So it's not like she just existed to die and give
Die.
Fisk
Yeah.
motivation.
Now, her death giving Fisk the motivation to go off the deep end. I am so excited to see what that looks
Yeah.
like. Um, I'm really liking where we're at with the Daredevil Bullseye team up. I think that's interesting. A little side note on the Daredevil character, just like I love how we're chipping away at his black suit to further reveal the red suit.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. I'm liking that little piece. Um, let's see. Uh, I know we're gonna circle back around to them, and I guess we can do that right here. Actually,
Yeah.
let's talk about Daniel and Buck, because boy oh boy are these two characters absolutely capturing my attention.
They're so much fun. Da- Both of them really so much fun to watch on screen. And like, I think I liked both these characters last season. I think I liked Daniel Blake more than Buck last season, but for both of them, like such a improvement in their characters in the second season to like where they now have like this. It's not really a buddy cop dynamic, but like
Wow.
this back and forth thing they have going on where like you can tell that Daniel is like begrudgingly growing on Buck. Like Buck is starting to become fond of Daniel, despite knowing that Daniel is doing some dumb stuff. And
Well, and Daniel's also afraid of Buck, rightfully so.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like an interesting little character
right.
like
Because
relationship they
like
have.
at the same time as this dynamic is going on, you have the Daniel BB stuff where,
Oh my
which I think
gosh,
is
dude.
just like everything going on with Daniel is so interesting because you have Daniel who is like so loyal to Fisk on one hand. Like he, I think, would lay his life on the line for Fisk.
No, he's a
But he
true believer.
also,
It's also out of fear. It's also out of
oh
fear.
yeah, absolutely also out of fear. And then also on the other hand is like, I think he's falling in love with BB. Like I do, like I think that is like a genuine like sense of love that he has for her that's grown. And I think that's there. And I think he knows that BB is the leak and
He
that
does,
she
most
is not
certainly.
only putting herself in danger, but him. Because you have that scene where they're like, before they go into the fight, I think in episode 4, where Daniel clocks that somebody slides something into BB's pocket, right? Like
Yep.
somebody who's working with her to
Yeah.
do whatever it is
Yeah.
they're
The
doing, the
data drop
subterfuge
off.
against, yeah, the data drop off. Daniel clocks that, but chooses not to
Yep.
say anything.
Yep.
And like it goes back to the a couple episodes prior where like he's like, BB, like if you are leaking, please stop. Like it is going to
Yeah.
get you hurt. It is going to get me hurt. And you know, by the way, he's saying that as he's just like cooked a lovely meal for her at his apartment. Like he knows what's going on.
Dude, it's just like
And
he is absolutely smitten and he
yeah,
falls for it over and over and over again. And it's that, yeah, it's one of those things that like you can't help but like roll your eyes, not in like exasperation, but just like it's like,
like,
dude,
oh
dude,
man. And then
come on, man.
that all culminates in the Daniel Buck stuff in episode 5, where, yeah, episode 5, the most
The
recent
car
one,
ride.
where the car ride, where Buck tells Daniel, let's go get a hot dog. Turns out they're going upstate. And Daniel is convinced that Buck is going to kill him. They go pick up a saw and a shovel. Um, and Buck is like kind of telling Daniel the story of how Fisk saw something in him and took him in. But Fisk is not a forgiving person. And he's
Yeah.
telling, you can kind of, it's interesting because I think it can be read a few different ways. In the moment, like when that was playing out, my thought was, oh, they've got BB in the trunk of the car. They got BB out somewhere, and Buck is
Interesting.
going to make Daniel kill BB. I
That's
thought that's
interesting.
where it was going. It was either that or he was going. I didn't think he was killing Daniel at that point. But I thought he was going to make Daniel make that choice. Turns out it was just the first mate of the Northern Star. that was dead in the trunk from previous episode. And it is just, I think the purpose of that for Buck was like trying to reiterate the gravity of the situation to Daniel.
And just implementing like the intimidation factor
Exactly,
as
exactly.
a means of reinforcement.
Like I think he's telling Daniel like, I like you, but this, if you screw up, like this is going to be you. Don't
Yeah,
do this.
exactly. It's like you said, that begrudging fondness. It's like, dude, you've grown on me. I like you, but like I will kill you if I have to.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and yeah. So really loving everything that's going on there, and the pretext of that car ride being the hot dog, the callback from a couple
yeah,
episodes
yeah,
prior, and just sticking on Buck for a second, like a few episodes ago at the mayor's dinner, when the governor was there, and you get the scene of Buck sitting with Heather, um, and Buck is like going around the room, like comparing everybody in the room to like basically like a royal court, right? And I think at one point Heather's like, and Daniel is the jester, and Buck's like something like that, but you know he's growing on me, and like you can just tell that like there is this sense of like camaraderie and friendship that's developing between them, despite the roles that they play, like in Fisk's administration, and then what I. Let me ask you this. Actually, let me ask you as a question: do you think Buck knows that BB is the leak through Daniel? I don't think he does. I don't
I
think he
don't think he
knows
knows
that
that
much
it's
because I think she would be
BB.
dead.
I don't think he knows that it's BB, but I think he knows that Daniel has more of an insight as to who the leak is than he's
Yeah.
giving on.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because I think if he knew specifically that it was BB, I think she would have been in the trunk of that car.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Let's talk a little bit about episode 5 specifically and kind of the structure of it.
The
Because
flashbacks.
this episode is so interesting. It's like such a, yeah, the flashbacks. And it's this episode through the flashbacks and I like through what's going on in the present really serves as kind of like, let's take a like halfway point beat on the season, give the characters a chance to reflect on what has led them to this point. And that works
Hmm.
really naturally because you obviously have Vanessa in a coma, like in her mind palace. But then that also kind of dovetails with Matt, like confronting his demons from season 1 with trying to kill Dex and the loss of Foggy and like grappling with like who is he after losing Foggy and like after
Yeah,
making this choice to try to kill someone. And throughout this entire episode, you get the flashbacks to basically like directly pre season 1, where you
yeah,
get
like
Matt
the
and
events leading
Foggy.
up to.
Yeah, like directly because you get Matt and Foggy while they're still working as like junior associates at a big law firm doing the dirty work. You get Vanessa as she's about to open the art show where she meets
Right,
Fisk for the first time. And
curating the
then
gallery.
super cool, you also get these scenes between Fisk and Wesley from
Yeah, that was
the
cool.
character from season 1, where
You know, Buck's
they're,
predecessor. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, where, and also a former colleague apparently,
yeah,
which we
that
learn
was
in this
a cool
episode.
reveal. That was
Because
cool.
we get Fisk like basically the early stages of him trying to figure out how to launder his money, which he era 2015 he suggests Bitcoin,
Have
which
you
was
heard
like a
of
nice little,
Bitcoin?
which is interesting because a lot of times I don't like those kind of like timeliness call outs, but I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting here because it goes to show like 2015 Bitcoin was really, it wasn't well known. It was like I think looked upon pretty negatively. But you have the Fisk character who's like financially astute enough to see the potential in something like Bitcoin to where now, if they had invested in Bitcoin in 2015, that would have been a very solid investment. And obviously Wesley's like, no, nah, it's a little too volatile. Let's do art. And that's what
let's go
leads
into
him
art.
to Vanessa. Um, but also I think this like using the flashback as an opportunity to kind of retcon Buck into being this fixer character from season 1. So cool. Like just a
Yeah,
great shorthand way to like flesh out the history of these characters even more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It was a great like it's you bring it back to season one, and it's like, oh, like here's a character that you know now that's been in the background all along,
yeah,
and they do it in a way that makes sense.
yeah. I think the Matt and Foggy stuff really, really cool. And basically, the story there is they are defending a client, um, and he says that he won't take a plea deal because if he, you know, however long he's sentenced for, within 24 hours of going to jail, he's going to be killed by, the organized crime organization that he wronged or whatever it was. There's a hit out on him. He'll die. Um, and so Foggy, um, takes the money that him and Matt had been saving up for a long time to start their own firm and gives it to this guy who also happens to have been a bully to Foggy when they were growing up. He knew Foggy was friends with his younger
Yeah.
brother, and this guy bullied Foggy and his younger brother when they were growing up. Despite all that, Foggy sees somebody in need that he can help and gives them, I think it was like $1,600 that Matt and Foggy had been saving up to start their firm. Says, take this money, like get out of here, start a new life. And so it's Foggy making the sacrifice for somebody who treated him poorly over the course of his life that he did not have to do this for. And at the end of this situation, Matt or Foggy's like, let's go to Josie's. And Matt's like, what are we toasting? And he says, mercy. And so this is like, you have this memory playing through Matt's head as he's grappling with what to do with Bullseye in this moment, the person who killed his best friend, but that he also tried to kill afterward. And so you have Matt reliving these experiences, remembering what Foggy meant to him, and then actively making the choice to show mercy to Dex and save him and bring him in and help him up because that's what Foggy would have done and what Foggy would have wanted in that moment. Just, I think, is another great, like, reestablishment of how important Foggy is and was to Matt and Daredevil, right? Like the show and the
Yeah.
character.
No, they've really done a good job of making sure that the absence of his character, of the Foggy character, does not mean that his presence is not still there. I mean, he's extremely influential in this season without actually being present, in shaping how Matt tries to uh, be a hero, yeah, for the city. And I think that they've done a really good job of taking that and using that as another example of like how they're balancing the Netflix series with this new iteration of the show and of the character. I think that they've done a really good job of doing that. Uh, I think that we're kind of like at a point now in the show, like you said, it's like a good like midway point, like a check-in of just like, okay, like, hey, here's everything, Netflix series included. Here's everything that has built up to this point. Um, this is the breaking point. This
Yeah, now we go.
The Fisk character is going to lose it. Matt and Bullseye are working together. Matt is pretty much out of options at this point. I mean, we're at this point now where it's just like, okay, straw broke the camel's back. What's happening now? Where are we going? What does this mean for the future of these characters? And this new iteration of this story in the MCU. And I'm super excited to see how they decide to resolve this because I think it's going to be a like a build up, and we're at that like point now. I think the final part of this season is going to be a standout among Marvel television series in terms of how they end a season of TV, which has in the past been
Tough.
hit or miss for them.
Yeah. I do think, yeah, the three more episodes in this season, it does kind of feel like we're building up to like that kind of all out war
Yes,
that we see in Devil's Reign across the city. And I think this Jessica Jones, I think, has to show up in this next episode.
I would say so.
Um,
Yeah,
up until this
Daredevil's
point,
in trouble.
I'd say like episode 5, I've liked how they've been withholding her in the show. But now with 3 episodes left, with this kind of being the turning point of the season, and with how heavily she was marketed in this season of TV, I
Yeah,
would be kind of disappointed if we don't see her featured prominently in these last 3 episodes. Um,
yeah. I
that
think you're right.
that isn't like that has not been like a negative draw for me, at all. But now it's like reaching the point where it could be if we don't see her this coming week. I think it would make sense here now that we probably will have Fisk just like cracking down even harder on vigilantes, like actually going door to door to the point where Matt is now recruiting help.
Yes.
I think that's kind of where it's going. Um, let's see. Daredevil. I got a couple. Well, actually, before I got one kind of superlative I want to talk about. But before we do that, let's just take a second to talk about Bullseye as a character here and where we find him, because man, they're doing some really fun stuff with it, and it's like
He's so cool.
very kind of similar to the season 2 Matt Punisher stuff, like the debate there about, well, Punisher takes it all the way. He's taking the criminals off the street. Is that what needs to be done? Is Matt not being hard? That whole debate, right? Like killing or
Yeah.
no killing. You
Yeah.
have that. But you also have like the layer of Dex just actually being a psychopath, serial killer, murderer, to where like Dex will kill innocent people. Maybe not now, but he has killed countless innocent people without feeling
Mm.
anything. Frank would never do that.
No.
But now you have Dex who like is convinced that he can right the scales, and that maybe now he
Yeah.
has righted the scales after
He's
killing
obsessed with
Vanessa,
that
right?
balance.
I think it's like one good deed is what he says, right? Like I killed
Yep.
your friend
Yep. Yep.
Foggy. Every time he says Foggy and Matt's like, don't say his name. Love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Um, but you just have like a Dex who is like deluded into thinking that he can be one of the good guys.
Yeah, like it's like he's seeing himself as like the balancer in this. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I killed Foggy, but I also killed Vanessa. So like
But now,
I
like,
have
and he
brought
doesn't even
balance.
realize it. He's made so much worse by killing Vanessa.
Yeah. Like yeah, dude, he's so delusional and absolutely crazy. And like I just love like you can, as you mentioned earlier, you can see it in Matt. He's just like the only thing keeping me from killing this guy is Foggy's memory.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're out. You are done.
Yeah. And I just like the conversations between the two of them in episode 5 as they're trying to escape. And they're talking about it being, is it dual? I think because like Dex's whole thing is like, I should have died when you pushed me off that roof. God kept me alive so that I could right my wrongs or something like that. And
Yeah.
then like Matt is also now kind of seeing it from the perspective of like, you should have died when I pushed you off that roof. God gave me a second chance when he let you
Mm-hmm.
live to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, seek penitence for my sins and absolution for my wrongs. And I think at one point it's like, I can't remember exactly what he calls it, but it's like we're going through like dual penitence or dual purgatory or something like that, where they're in this moment together and they're both trying to get to the other side. And now, like where this episode leaves off with Matt bringing Dex to Karen, and Karen is going to have a very interesting reaction to seeing Dex in their lair. And I'm just so excited to see that dynamic to play out more.
We got some good TV ahead of us.
Yeah.
And we could keep going. We have to talk about 3 other shows.
Before we move off Daredevil, just real quick, rapid fire. Of the first five episodes so far, what has been your favorite fight scene?
Hmm.
Tough one. There have been some really good ones.
Yep. I am gonna go with. I think I can't remember the episode, but the I think it was episode 2. Matt versus the AVF agents, where
Mhm.
he got like really cool and creative with his batons. They really
Was
like
that the breakout
emphasize.
scene from Red Hook, or was that before that?
Um,
Like where him and
mm,
Swordsman are breaking everybody out?
no, the one before that. They
The
just like
one
did
where he
some
goes to
really.
save Cherry?
Yeah, that one.
Good choice.
I
And
just like
that's like,
I like the
yeah.
way that they use the batons.
I
They
love the way
really
they're using the
emphasize on that.
batons this season. And like you see that in the Red Hook breakout scene too, where like you see the
Yes.
baton kind of come through the smoke. Yeah,
Yep.
I think in general they've really nailed the Daredevil action choreography. Um, for me though, a scene I think my standout so far doesn't even involve Daredevil, but it's the cold open of episode 4 with Dex in the diner
Oh yeah, yeah,
taking out all the AVTF agents. Just
yeah.
incredible stuff. set to
No,
Billy
that was
Joel.
a super cool scene.
Like, come on, come on.
Dude, that guy, just to further emphasize how much of a psycho he is, he chugged a banana milkshake, did
With
not
whip.
get brain freeze. Crazy behavior.
Daredevil. I want to talk about this show more over the next 3 episodes.
And we will.
We
And we
will.
will
We will.
because we're back weekly and we will be covering episode 6 next week.
All right. I have significantly less to say about the next 3 shows, not for lack of quality, but just
Yeah.
but
No.
do you want to do Invincible next?
Yeah, let's rapid fire these ones. Just kind of give an
Okay.
update on our
Yeah.
thoughts in general. Let's talk
Okay.
Invincible.
So are you still only 2 into this new season?
No, I'm 3 episodes in.
3
How many episodes are we at now?
7. So one more to go this
7.
season, and I'm up to
Uh,
date with it.
you're up to date. So here, let me start with this. As I said, I'm cool with talking about the show. I'm cool with spoilers because we both read the comics, and I don't
Speaking
really
of which,
view.
spoilers for Invincible season 4.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable talking about this just without holding back anything because I have an idea of where everything should be going. Just you're 4 episodes ahead of me. How are you feeling about this season? So far, it's pretty dang good.
So, it's so good.
It's pretty dang good.
It's
I mean,
so good.
like, where? Okay, so I'm curious just to know, like, end of episode 7, where
Yeah.
are we?
Mark realizes that the remaining Viltrumites are going to Earth.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool.
So you
Wow.
get
So we're gonna get into the whole, like, we're gonna get into the breeding, like, wow, we're getting into that point by
because
episode 8. That's interesting.
so I can't remember which specific episode, but we basically at the end of episode 7, the entire battle in space outside of Viltrum and the destruction of Viltrum has happened. So they've destroyed Viltrum, and I think they took out a good amount of Viltrumites in that battle in
Mhm.
space. But Thrag and then the remaining ones have Thrag kills Thetis. Insane decapitation move. Kills Thetis.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that on there.
And
Yeah.
then assembles the survivors, and Mark realizes at the very end of the episode that they are moving toward Earth.
Yep.
I mean, how about it's hard. I don't even know how to talk about it without just saying it's so good, man. Like
Honestly, I'm comfortable leaving it at that.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's and like you said, I mean, you're 4 episodes ahead of me. But I know what I'm going to be seeing in the episodes leading up to where you're at, just through seeing stuff online and just knowing what
Yeah.
happens in the source material. And this bit of story that they're telling is such a great setup for what Invincible really is. Because everything we've seen up till now is really, like, through seasons 1 through 3, is kind of a small portion of the comics.
Yeah.
It's really like a setup of, like, the Mark Grayson character. And we said it in the beginning. This season is where things really start to get blown up.
I was gonna say, like, at
And
this point, we are fully in like the full blown galactic war now.
yes, and that's where a majority of the Invincible story is told.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how many more seasons they end up doing of this, to see how much ground they can cover. But
Yeah.
um,
Also, I can't remember if it happened in episode 3. I think it hasn't happened for you yet. The special that we were talking about being a potential special presentation
the
for
robot
Invincible,
monster girl.
that has been set up.
Oh, it has. Oh, no,
That-
you're right. It has. Yeah.
That you saw that? Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was so well done. Like, honestly, the Flaxen stuff in the show is like the Flaxen and the what are they called from Mars? The mind suckers, whatever
Yep,
those are. Whenever those plot points resurface in the show, I'm always like, start to like tune out a little bit, just because like it is. I think by nature, like especially in the comics, when those stories are supposed to kind of be like parodying the
Yeah.
repeat invasion stories from other comics, but like the way they do the Flaxen invasion in this episode that you just watched, I thought was really well done and engaging, and like the cliffhanger there, I thought was really well set up.
Well, and it takes you back because I get your feeling because it ultimately takes you away from the Invincible story, uh, and it kind of takes you back to like the other side of things with characters like Robot, which for those who don't know the source material, you're just like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we flipping back and forth? But Robot ultimately is one of the most
Yeah,
important characters in this series. He ultimately is kind of one of the main antagonists for Mark, and so like getting the setup to this storyline, which is really fundamental in turning Rudy and Robot into the character that we see by the end of the series. I hope that we, like you said, I hope we get a more in-depth look at that through a special.
yeah.
I think that would be super cool.
Last couple notes, I'll leave it on. The Mark Oliver Nolan stuff this season has been great.
Yeah,
Um, One of the strengths is just like the family dynamics in the Grayson household of the show, and those three, and then even Debbie and Paul, there's some really heartfelt stuff with Debbie and Paul.
I think
And
that's
then
the biggest venture from the source material.
yeah, yeah, and I think
Yeah,
it's worked really well. Thrag, who I don't think you've met yet in episode, maybe briefly
no,
up
I've
to
seen Thrag.
okay. Um, I was a little lukewarm on the portrayal up until episode seven. Episode seven turned me around.
Cool.
Um, I'll leave it there for Invincible. Looking forward to you getting caught up and us talking about it more. Um, all right, we'll finish up rapid fire on a couple shows that you have not started yet. Um, let's start with The Boys. There's 3 episodes out so far. Maddie and I just finished the third episode last night. Um, Spoilers. I'll put a spoiler warning here for The Boys season 3 because you said that you do know about like the big death that happens early on, right?
Yeah, I know that A Train dies. Yeah.
So okay, so A Train dies first episode, and that specific moment I think is like a good encapsulation of what this season has been so far, which I think so far through 3 episodes, this is maybe my favorite season of The Boys ever. Um, it's it feels more mature. Um, from the very beginning, like every character is in a spot that one makes sense and two, I think is like really interesting with like the potential for character growth in the final season. The stakes of the world are clear, make sense, and are just absolutely dire. Um, Anthony Starr's Homelander is better than he's ever been. Like you forget, like like you haven't started the season. You know, like Anthony Starr's Homelander is one
Oh
of the
yeah.
best villains that we've
Yeah.
ever gotten. You forget just how good he is until he's on your screen again. Um, and like like it just there is still like the classic boys like gross out humor, like shock value type stuff, but it feels like there's less of it, and the show just feels more mature, and
I like that. As
it's
you know,
it's
that
really
was one
good.
of my complaints going into this season, especially with Gen V. Of just like I'm getting a little tired of like the boys isms. Just I think that they have their place in this universe, but when they're overplayed, I get a little tired of it. So
Yeah.
I like the idea that you're putting out here of just like it's toned down to a point where it's still present in its identity, it sounds like, but they're also focusing a lot more on like, hey, like let's solve some of these let's wrap up some of these storylines that we need to wrap up, and let's be serious about it.
And like the A Train death, I think when you watch that, you'll see that it is just that.
Cool, cool, cool.
Like perfect bow tie on the A Train character arc. And also just last note, Jack Quaid as Huey, like I'm turning into a massive Jack Quaid fan.
Dude,
Um,
I mean, he's been great throughout the entire
yeah,
series. I
he's always
mean,
been great, but I think he's like, there's just something different about what he's doing with Huey now. He's like slightly more assured, but still
okay.
has like that glint in his eyes and like that hope. Um, and I also just watched him in Novocaine recently, which was
Oh
really
yeah.
good. And yeah, just like Jack Quaid stock going up. Get him in MCU. He'd be a good Iceman.
Oh, dude, he would be a good Iceman.
Um,
Honestly, at this point, I'm surprised he's not in Dune 3. Everybody's in that movie. Uh, but
Cast him as the worm.
yeah. Dude, just like the worm with like Jack Quaid's little poofy curly hair on top. That'd be funny. That'd be funny. What else you got for me about the boys?
That's it. I just want you to watch it and enjoy it.
I
Soldier
plan
Boy
to.
is back. He's
Yeah.
great. What was your question?
No, no, that was it. I plan to hop on this as quickly as I can, as well as the next show that we're going to talk about very briefly here, Mall
Yeah.
Shadow Lord. How far into Mall Shadow Lord are you?
I am 3 episodes in. I think there are four out, so I think I'm one behind. Um, Slow start for me on this show.
Okay.
Took me a couple episodes to really like find something to latch onto. That might be a reflection on like how I was watching the show. Like the first couple episodes were kind of like, all right, end of the night, let me throw on some mall and
Mm,
before bed. Even in those first couple episodes, like the animation sticks out. This is the highest quality animation that we've ever gotten in a Star Wars show, I think, like by far. Um, and then episode 3, I got locked in.
ooh,
And maybe a reflection of like my investment, like watching investment in the first couple episodes, what I was giving to the show. But the third episode, like, kind of pairs everything down and it becomes basically like this master apprentice type show between Maul and an ex-Jedi who's hiding out like in the early stages of the Empire.
yeah,
So you have
that's what I've
that
heard.
where
Yeah.
like Maul is trying to recruit this Jedi to become his apprentice basically, telling her about all the flaws of the Republic, but also at the same time like his his issues with the Empire and with Sidious. Um, and you're just getting like Sam Witwer doing the voice of Maul, like has always
Uh,
been great, but he's like the Maul here is like slightly different, right? Like he is kind of in this slightly more. He's not a good guy, but he's presenting as like a more well-mannered individual. Like you're getting like that British posh accent coming through a little bit more, and he is kind of like speaking to logic and emotion too. Like he is still like trying to push this fallen like this Jedi to the dark side to join him, but like in convincing ways. Right? Like he's telling her about the downfall of the Jedi and why it happened, and you agree. And Sam Witwer is doing that in his just like trademark raspy mall, soft spoken British accent that's so good.
I
Um,
think seduction is a big part of the mole character, and
yeah,
from what I've heard about this show, like this plays into that seductive side of the character more so than any time we've ever seen him before. And I
for sure.
really like the idea that like you say, I love it when we can take a person that like we're not supposed to like. It's kind of like the Thanos thing, of just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, he has a point, and I love that we're gonna be doing that with the mall. I
And
that's super cool.
what's cool is like the kind of like the kickoff of the plot is right. So like there's this Jedi or Padawan when Order 66 happened that gets captured.
Twilight, right?
Yeah, yeah, the Twi'lek, who I think she gets captured by like by the Empire basically. There's like this team that we're kind of following, like a Jedi hunting team, but they're not Inquisitors. Um, within the Empire, and you're actually like getting this like captain of the team that you're like they're humanizing in an interesting way, and you are like I think supposed to kind of connect with him. But basically, this Padawan escapes or is broken out by Maul and his group, and then the third episode is Maul letting this Twi'lek like kind of come to him at under the guise of like you can leave if you want, right? Like you're a prisoner, but only because you're telling yourself that you are. You can leave. And so you get Maul like presenting her with a saber and trying like making the pitch to her. And obviously she tries to escape. And Maul just is like kind of like hanging in the shadows, like just like talking to her from the shadows and like doing that whole thing. And it's just it's a cool dynamic. It's fun to watch, like 30-minute episodes. Better, I think significantly better than any of these like Tale of the Jedi or Tale of the Underworld miniseries that we've gotten, which are fine, but like I forget about them after I watch them.
Yeah.
Um, Big ups on Maul here. again, the animation is better than it's ever been. The establishing shots are like paintings. The animation of the sabers, so cool. Like they kind of look like the Kylo Ren saber that like with the unstable light. Um, and I also read that when they were doing the sound mixing for the saber sound effects, they incorporated Sam Witwer doing Maul screams into
That's
the sound
awesome.
of the
That's
lightsabers.
so cool.
So with something like that, like I give the show a lot of goodwill.
Okay, I got two questions for you to wrap this up. First question is just we all know it's being speculated based on what you've seen. Do you think that Devin Azara is going to end up in some way, shape, or form being Darth Talon? Maybe not
I
in
don't
this
know.
series, but do you think they're like trying? Do you think they're trying to evoke that?
Remind me who Darth Talon is.
Basically just a Twi'lek Sith apprentice. She's red, and we don't have to go like super like in depth
What area is
into.
she from? Like, where did she
Well,
come from?
so she's in like the Legends era, like
Okay.
Star Wars stuff, but she
Yeah.
is Maul's apprentice,
Then it feels like that's pretty,
and
seems like
she's
they're
like
setting
this
that up.
like red, like super over sexualized, like Twi'lek apprentice to Maul, and it's
I could see them doing an iteration of that here
yeah. I think that they
because
might be playing
you
into
can
that
even tell
touch.
by the end of episode 3, like Maul is starting to get through to her a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool. Second question. Okay, so obviously Daredevil, I'm making sure that I watch that every single time.
Yeah.
I'm filling in free space that I have with Invincible. I hope to be catching up pretty soon on that. Going to try to bust out a couple episodes today.
Yeah.
Um, if I get caught up on that, I have The Boys and Shadow Lord. Which do I hit play on first?
So in a vacuum, absolutely the boys. Like I said, I think like they're operating on a very high level. That being said, each episode is like a full hour.
Yeah,
So it depends on like, and it's also a show, it's heavy. Like it's a heavy show. So if you're like, be prepared for that when you sit down to watch it. Um, Maul, on the other hand, is a show that you can kind of just like kind of kick back and throw on like 30-minute episode, enjoy it, and move on with your day.
I might see if Lucy wants to watch some more. You know,
I think she'd be into it.
yeah. She has been talking about Star Wars a lot recently, so we'll see. Um,
Best. But yeah,
uh,
like in a vacuum, I like The Boys is a better watch, I think.
okay, okay. Uh, anything else to cover?
Let's see. I unsurprisingly have been very behind on my monthly comics. I have a
Oh yeah.
few that I have not read at home now, and I think my pull box at Third Eye is probably starting to overflow, so I got to
Oh,
catch up
dude, I
there.
got a text from Main Street Geek being like, "Hey, man, you okay?"
Hey, nobody looks out for you like your local comic shop owner does.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Um,
what else? Anything else going on? New season of Euphoria is coming out. We're not watching it. um,
I'll throw out a
oh,
recommendation. Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
I was just gonna say I started 28 years later last night, a
Mm.
couple nights ago. Banger is
Ooh,
crazy. Like,
interesting.
if you think about a movie being just like heavy metal, this movie is heavy metal.
Oh, cool.
I have like another hour or so to watching it because I fell asleep, but I think I'm going to do that today. And then I'll probably throw on Bone Temple.
Nice, 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 nice. Um, for my recommendation, I'm going quite the opposite direction. Um, my recommendation section has pretty much just turned into which
What are you
classic
watching with
Disney
Lucy?
movie I'm watching this week. And I'll throw out this one. We've gotten her onto Tarzan. Tarzan is now in
Oh, Phil
the
Collins
rotation.
soundtrack.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We
Oh,
watched Tarzan last night. We watched some more of it
great
this
movie.
morning. So she's into it. She's a Tarzan fan. I love that. Tarzan's one of my favorite movies.
Hey,
Um,
that's my flower
it's
girl.
it's such a good movie, dude. The music is so good, dude. And it's like if you
You'll
haven't watched
be
Tarzan
my
in a
own.
while, it's like, dude, it starts off so freaking brutally. Like a mother loses her child, and
Yeah.
then like a child loses his parents. Dude, it's like pretty freaking. They
Those
just
early Disney movies did not hold back.
no, and it's pretty graphic. I was
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh, I don't remember. It's been a minute since I watched Tarzan, and I was like, I don't fully remember grasping just like how pretty like seriously intense the intro to this movie is.
you're like
All
Lucy,
set to a Phil Collins background. It's
dude.
yeah.
I
So
remember having that soundtrack on CD, and my sister would play it every like every night before bed.
dude, it's so freaking good. It's
Yeah,
so good. We have not gotten to no, we just got through Son of Man, and she got to watch me perform that song. So I'm thinking that hopefully she'll learn the lyrics pretty soon.
there we go.
Because if she could sing something else besides "Let It Go," I'd be a happy man. Um,
Come
not
on,
that I don't
diversify.
support her fully in whatever she wants to do, but if she wanted to sing something else besides "Let It Go," I'd be cool with that. Um, but that's what I got for Rex this week. Tarzan.
All right, Tarzan and 28 years later. um, yeah, I think that's an episode, dude. It's feels good to get back in here with you, man, and do some spring cleaning and catch up on some stuff. And yeah, if you guys are still here with us after our little hiatus, we appreciate that. Let us know of the shows that we talked about today. So, Daredevil, Invincible, The Boys, Mall Shadow Lord. Which, if any of those shows, are you keeping up with weekly? Are there any that you've like fallen off of, or just like what are you doing in this mid-April, late April content deluge that we find ourselves in? We are on all of the socials, as Austin said at the top of the episode, at Between Two Batcaves. So we're at Between Two Batcaves with the number two on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, uh, all the other ones except the app formerly known as Twitter, where you can find us at B2 Batcaves with the number two. Don't ask why. We don't know.
Couldn't tell you. And before we get out of here today, just a quick reminder to leave a 5-star rating and a review for us on the podcast app of your choice. And if you're watching Between Two Bat Caves, subscribe, ring that bell, give us a follow to stay up to date with us. We will be back next week, I promise, with at least Daredevil episode 6 coverage. Probably another quick check-in too with updates from Invincible, maybe Mall Shadow Lord, The Boys. We'll see. Just a quick check-in on where we are. But do expect a in-depth or episode 6 Daredevil review.
We'll be
Um,
there.
so until then, from our Bat Caves to yours, thanks for hanging with us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.